Your phone rings. You do not panic. You do not stare at it like it is a miracle. You just answer. That is strange. Because for almost all of human history, hearing the voice of someone far away was impossible. If a person you loved lived 100 miles from you, their voice was gone the moment they left. You could read their words, you could imagine their tone, but you could not hear them, not live, not instantly. This is the history of phone. And by the end, you will also learn 7 vocabulary words. And then, in the 19th century, that changed. The phone did not begin as a shiny object in your pocket. It began as a rebellion against distance itself. Before the telephone, the fastest long-distance communication was the telegraph. It was impressive, fast, revolutionary, but it was also cold. Dots, dashes, code, not laughter. Not fear, not the shake in a human voice when someone has bad news to tell you. People could send information quickly, but they still could not send themselves. That was the problem inventors were trying to solve. How do you carry not just a message but a voice? In the 1870s, one of those inventors was Alexander Graham Bell. He was not working in a world of finished certainty. He was working in a race against time, a race against other inventors. One of them was Elisha Gray, Bell's rival. Rival. A rival is a competitor. Example, if 2 bakeries on the same street want the same customers, they are rivals. Bell and Gray both moved toward the same dream at almost the same moment. Bell wanted the patent. Patent. A patent is the legal right to control an invention for a period of time. Example, if you invent a new phone case design, a patent can help protect it from being copied too soon. On February 14, 1876, both men filed documents connected to the telephone on the very same day. Bell got there first. On March 7th, he received the patent. 3 days later, on March 10th, he made history. Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you. Those words were not grand. They were not poetic. They were not meant for history. They were practical, urgent, human, and that is exactly why they matter. The first successful telephone message was not a speech. It was a need. That may be the most important thing about the phone from the very beginning. It was never really about technology alone. It was about absence. It was about the pain of not being near someone and the sudden power to break that pain. Still, the first telephones were awkward little machines, crackly, limited, unreliable. Early telephones often sounded thin and weak, and inventors had to keep improving them before ordinary people would trust them. Even the culture around the phone had not been invented yet. People did not know how to answer it. Bell reportedly preferred the greeting ahoy. Imagine that. You pick up your phone today and say ahoy. The whole history of modern life could have sounded like a sailor on a ship. And the first phone book? It was not really a book. In 1878, it was a single sheet with just 50 listings in New Haven, Connecticut. No phone numbers, just names. That is how new the whole idea was. People were not yet living in a telephone world. They were standing at its doorway, confused, curious, and a little suspicious. Then the phone began to spread. And very quickly, another problem appeared. One telephone connected to one other telephone was useful, but a whole city of telephones. That was chaos. If you wanted everyone to reach everyone else, you needed a system, a network, a human bridge between voices. So the early telephone world filled with operators. You lifted the receiver. A voice answered. Number, please. Then someone at a switchboard physically connected your call with plugs and wires. The phone sounded magical from home, but behind that magic was labor. Fast hands, sharp ears, endless concentration. At first, some companies hired boys. That did not last. They joked too much. They roughhoused. Some swore at customers, so companies turned more and more to women, who became the voices and invisible architecture of the early phone system. In crowded exchange rooms, hundreds of operators connected strangers, families, doctors, police, lovers, businesses. They were the hidden heartbeat of communication, and for many women, this was more than a job. It was income, independence, a public role in a new industrial world. The telephone was not only changing communication, it was quietly changing work, class, and gender too. But the human switchboard had limits. As cities grew, the telephone system had to expand. Expand means grow larger. Example, if your small shop becomes popular and opens 3 new branches, it expands. More phones meant more calls. More calls meant more operators. And more operators meant more cost, more delay, and more mistakes. Then came one of the strangest characters in telephone history. Almond Strowger was an undertaker in Kansas City. According to the famous story, he believed a telephone operator was sending funeral business to a rival. Suspicion drove him. Suspicion is the feeling that something may be wrong. Example, if your wallet disappears and one friend suddenly avoids eye contact, you may feel suspicion. So Strowger tried to solve the problem in the most dramatic way possible. He wanted to remove the operator entirely. Out of that frustration came automatic switching. Machines, not humans, would connect the call. Later, rotary dials let ordinary callers send pulses down the line and choose the number for themselves. It sounds technical now, but at the time, it was a deep social change. The telephone was becoming less personal behind the scenes, so it could become more immediate in your hand. Immediate. Immediate means happening at once. Example, when you touch ice, the cold feels immediate. That trade changed everything. By the early 20th century, the telephone was no longer a laboratory trick. It was becoming infrastructure, a basic part of modern life. Businesses depended on it. Governments depended on it. Families depended on it. Distance was losing power. And in 1915, there came one of the great symbolic moments in the history of the phone. Alexander Graham Bell, now older, made the first official transcontinental telephone call from New York to San Francisco. Thomas Watson was there on the other end. Nearly 40 years after the first call, the same 2 men were connected again.
Coast to coast.
The old room between them had become a continent. Think about that for a second. The first telephone words crossed a room. Now they crossed a nation. That is what technology does at its most powerful. First it feels impossible, then it feels expensive, then it feels normal. And finally, you cannot imagine living without it. The telephone became ordinary by becoming indispensable. Indispensable. Indispensable means absolutely necessary. Example, if you commute every day, your house keys are indispensable. By the 20th century, the phone was becoming that kind of object. Not a luxury for the curious, a necessity for everyone else. And still, the story did not stop with wires. Bell Labs and other researchers kept pushing communication forward. Better sound, better switching, better electronics. In 1947, Bell Labs invented the transistor, a tiny device that helped make modern electronics smaller and more powerful. That same year, the cellular concept began to take shape too. The dream was no longer just to speak over distance. It was to speak while moving. At first, mobile telephones were clumsy things. In 1946, early mobile phone service connected cars to the public phone network, but the system was limited and awkward. Few channels, heavy equipment, not freedom exactly. More like a telephone bolted to a machine. Real mobility came later. On April 3, 1973, Martin Cooper of Motorola stood on a sidewalk in New York City and made the first public handheld mobile phone call. He called a rival at Bell Labs. Of course he did. The phone's history is full of rivalries, pride, and people desperate to be first. That first mobile phone was not sleek. It was not elegant. It was not cool in the modern sense. It was a brick, heavy, expensive, strange. When the Motorola Dynatac finally went on sale in 1984, it cost nearly $4,000, took around 10 hours to charge, and gave only about 30 minutes of talk time. Portable. It was portable. Portable means easy to carry from place to place. Example, a portable speaker can go from your bedroom to the park. But early mobile phones were portable in the way a small suitcase is portable. Technically, yes. Comfortably, not really. Still, the idea was unstoppable because once human beings learned they could carry communication with them, they were never going back. Then the phone changed again. It stopped being only a voice machine. In the 1990s, devices like IBM's Simon pushed the phone toward the smartphone. Calendar, address book, touchscreen, email. Then came texting, games, cameras, internet access. In 2001, 3G networks made data faster and more practical. In 2007, the iPhone turned the phone into something else entirely, not just a tool for calls, but a small digital world you could hold in one hand. And that may be the strangest twist in the entire story. The telephone was invented so you could hear a distant voice. Now, many people barely use their phones to talk. You use it to text, to scroll, to film, to navigate, to work, to shop, to wait, to escape waiting. The object kept its old name even after it became something much larger than a phone. But beneath all the updates, all the apps, all the glass and code, the old emotional engine is still there. The phone exists because human beings hate separation. That is the hidden truth. The first telephone answered an old ache. I want to reach you now. Not tomorrow, not when the letter arrives, now. That desire built switchboards, cables, satellites, cell towers, smartphones, and the invisible systems humming around you every second, and yet there is a cruel little irony. Here, the phone was built to bring faraway people closer. Sometimes now it pushes nearby people further apart. You have seen it. Friends sitting together in silence, each one somewhere else, a family at dinner, each face lit by a different screen, a message from across the world arriving instantly, while the person right beside you goes unheard. The phone defeated distance, but it also changed attention. It made absence easier to bear and presence easier to ignore. That does not make the phone a villain. Far from it. It has saved lives, carried final words, delivered good news, delivered terrible news, ended wars for some people, started new lives for others, helped the lonely feel less alone, helped the lost find a voice in the dark. But it is worth remembering what sits in your hand, not just metal, not just software, not just glass. It is the result of centuries of human impatience, human ingenuity, human longing, an ordinary object with an extraordinary story. So the next time your phone rings, stop for half a second before you answer. You are hearing the echo of Bell and Watson, the hands of switchboard operators, the anger of an undertaker, the ambition of engineers, the shrinking of continents, the end of waiting, all of that, inside one small sound. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe and drop a comment telling us which part of phone history surprised you the most. And make sure to like this video so more people can find it.